We have seen a lot of trailers and interviews for Starfield over the years, with bustling cities, beautiful environments, and many interesting gameplay mechanics. Features like the character creator, outpost building, and ship building seem fantastic. Despite that, the features we will be discussing today still need some more questions answered before I can consider them good. The first one we will be talking about are the NPCs. In comparison to past Bethesda games, Starfield has a lot more NPCs. In this square alone there are 37 of them. That is more than in some whole cities in Skyrim, like Dawnstar and Winterhold. My concern is that many of these NPCs are just here to make the city look busy, but don't actually add anything. Two great examples of this in other games are GTA 5 and Cyberpunk, where the NPCs are basically uninteractable. So even with this influx of NPCs, I do hope every single one of them is still made unique and has a place to live, an occupation, and a daily routine. Also, I would like to see the unimportant NPCs that don't have anything to do with quests still have 2 or 3 lines of dialogue. With all that being said, I do think it's likely that all the NPCs are unique and have dialogue in Starfield, solely because it consists of a lot more dialogue lines compared to previous games. The next thing on the list is the main story. From what we've seen so far, this is in my opinion the weakest part of Starfield. What we know is at the beginning of the game you touch this glowing rock and you get a vision of some kind. After that everyone is like, wow, you found the artifact, and you get sent to Constellation. And after joining them they send you all across the universe to collect more of these artifacts. The way it looks right now, you just go to the location of one of these artifacts and then you do a quest to obtain it. We can actually see this in one of the trailers where this rich collector has acquired a piece of the artifact. And you probably have to buy it from him for a lot of credits or help him out in another way, whereafter he gives it to you. If finding these artifacts sends you on a bunch of individual quests, the story might lack a deep overarching narrative, and only really starts ramping up in the final act when you have collected all the artifacts. On top of that, I feel like the ancient artifact / technology trope has been done many times before. So I hope Starfield ends up having its own unique spin on it, cause right now it feels a bit generic. Now moving on to number 3, player houses. For me, I prefer player houses in Skyrim over the settlements in Fallout 4. This is mainly because the houses in Skyrim were located inside the big cities, so it made you really feel like you were part of them. In Starfield you can use the outpost as your home or buy an actual home. We can see this in the character creator, where there is a trait that starts you off with a customizable house on a peaceful planet. We don't know the level of customizability. It will probably be either full interior customization, like with the outpost where you can place down every single piece of furniture individually, or it will be like Skyrim's Hearthfire DLC, where you can choose which kind of rooms you want in your house. My main issue with the housing in Starfield is the location. The outpost can only be built in desolate locations and the dream house is on a peaceful planet, meaning both are in the middle of nowhere. To make you feel like you're more part of the world, I would say we need some houses near civilization, at least one in each major city, and as a fun twist, maybe an apartment in one of the larger space stations. Next, we have the economy. From what we've seen so far, Starfield takes many core gameplay mechanics from previous Bethesda games, but the economy is something it can differentiate itself on. I think Starfield kinda needs it, because many people are quick to just call it Skyrim in space, which isn't a bad thing cause I love Skyrim, but a couple of distinctive gameplay features wouldn't hurt. The thing that could differentiate Starfield's economy is an element of time. The trade Dreamhome states that you start with a mortgage of 50,000 credits that needs to be paid weekly. With you having a time-based cost, I also imagine there to be a way to make sustainable or passive income. Otherwise, if you don't do your quest fast enough, you will just be hunted down by debt collectors. I think the most likely source of this sustainable income will be your outpost, where we know that you can produce various resources. The only thing is, you also need a crew for that. A small crew can probably consist of just your companions, but if you want to expand, you would need to hire extra people. And with time being an element, you might need to pay these crew members on a weekly basis. One more extra feature that could provide a bit more depth to the economy is supply and demand, where buy and selling prices differ for products in different parts of the map. And with Starfield being this enormous, it would make sense. Then lastly we have the skills in Starfield. At this moment in time, we have roughly seen a quarter of the skills, with most of them coming from the combat category. The majority of these skills seem really basic and just give you a small buff to your stats. In past Bethesda games, this wasn't the case. There were many perks that gave you interesting new abilities and effects that could change the way of combat. So in comparison, the skills in Starfield seem boring. Although this might be because we've only seen the basic skills, and the advanced ones are still to be revealed. My assumption of how the skill system works is as follows. It is divided in 4 tiers, and you start at the top row. Once you've spent a certain amount of skill points in that row, you unlock the second row, and so on. And since we primarily have seen skills from the top row, we've just seen the basic skills, and the one in the lower rows could be a lot more interesting. If you want the full explanation on the skills in Starfield, I suggest watching this video. And with that, we've reached the end. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and let me know what you think are the weakest parts of Starfield right now. If you want to stay up to date on everything Starfield, make sure to subscribe, and then I hope to see you all at the next video.